G'day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Metal video. In this video, we are going to take a look at the LR AGL Majin Vegeta and his EZA or Extreme Z Awakening or LRZA, I can't remember what people like to call them, on DBZ Dokkan Metal Global. So his leader skill got adjusted, it went from 90% to 120%, and AGL types key +4 HP attack and defense. His super attack effects got adjusted. Instead of having a rare chance to stun the enemy, he now has a medium chance to stun the enemy, which is, pretty good. It's 30% and 20% respectively, so it's pretty damn decent. And then of course we also have the raising attack for one turn, which he didn't really have before. It's not really super necessary, but it is there. In terms of passive, he has defense of 150%, attack of 180% when performing a super attack. He has key +2 and reduces damage received by 20% where there is an ally whose name includes Bulma on the team. Key +2 plus an additional attack and defense of 20% when there is an ally whose name includes Trunks, Kid on the team, and key +2 and chance of performing a critical hit of 20% when the name of an ally who is attacking in the same turn or an enemy includes Goku. So that is pretty big and is pretty major. Key +2 and performs a critical hit when HP is 30% or lower. In terms of this unit, originally I built him mainly with the concept of critting, pretty much a full crit build. Because of the frequency with which you can achieve Goku's being in the same turn as him, you can possibly put a bit more into additionals, just depending on how you want to run those teams. Only Vegeta's family, Worthy Rivals, and Corroded Body and Mind technically won't really have a Goku, but you can kind of achieve this, so yeah, it's just a little bit interesting to see. But yeah, so interestingly enough, obviously in terms of everything else, we have Link skills, Super Saiyan, Saiyan Warrior Race, Saiyan Pride, Royal Lineage, Over in a Flash, Sharing the Limit, and Legendary Power. Most of them are attack orientated links, which is somewhat interesting, and he's also got Royal Lineage, which is a 2-key link, Over in the Flash, which is a 3-key link, and Sharing the Limit, which is a 2-key link. So they're less common links, but he's got quite a few of them to provide him with key. And then in terms of categories, got Resurrected Warriors, Majin Buu, Saga, Pure Saiyans, Vegeta's Family, Worthy Rivals, Super Saiyan 2, Final Trump Card, All Out Struggle, Connected Hope, Corroded Body and Mind, and Gifted Warriors. Now for Vegeta, it's going to be really hard to activate the Bulma portion of his passive. It's only really possible on a Vegeta's Family team if you utilize the Vegeta Bulma Rage unit, who is a tiny bit outdated nowadays. Maybe when that unit gets a update or we get a new Vegeta Bulma exchange or Rage or counter unit, we'll have a way to activate that quite reliably. But right now it's a very difficult portion of the passive to activate, and it's not really something I think you can reliably activate. It's literally only through those units realistically that you can achieve it, so it's not something I think you should strive for. But the rest is pretty common to activate. Trunks Kids on a lot of his teams, Goku obviously you can run on most of the teams, so you have an ability to run those, so we'll definitely take a look at that. Here we're activating the Trunks Kid portion, by having Vegeta on the Vegeta's Family team. In terms of defense, we have 187,000, which is very, very good. Remember, his defense can't go up in any way, shape, or form, except through support. So that's still very, very good. Obviously, it is a rainbow unit, but it's still a very, very good defensive stat. If he had 20% damage reduction, on top of that, he'd be a very good defensive unit. So when we have more ways to introduce Bulma onto his teams, we're going to be seeing some pretty impressive stuff. And there we can see a 5.8 million attack stat, so that's really, really good and pretty impressive. So a nice starting point for Vegeta, really good point to begin with. Great defense, really good damage, and on the Vegeta's Family team you do have the possibility of activating that Bulma based damage reduction. However, it's not something you can guaranteed do, but it is still pretty damn good. And also, he does also have, that ability to stun as well, which is something you can't really discount. The stunning is a very, very powerful capability. So that's really, really cool. We've got him here linked with the Prime Battle Vegeta, who also could get an easier in future, making them a very powerful combo. They share 5 links, which is great. And they're a really, really good combination. The interesting thing about Vegeta is that he has his Mega Colossal modifier on his 12 key, not on his 18 key. So if you want to see some big single target attack stats, you're going to go for the 12 key attack rather than the 18 key attack, which is something that's quite unique to Vegeta and pretty interesting overall. In this situation, we do have some support going on, so that 7.8 million is pretty damn good, and you can see the crit there, which is really awesome. 7.8 million obviously being very, very impressive. So Vegeta is looking really good, honestly looking really great, really solid unit, brings a really good defense to the table. I mean, 187k, yeah, it's a rainbow unit, but 187k is really good. A little bit of room to work with on the Link side as well, not too much defense sitting there. I think he only gets on Shattering the Limit, but still pretty decent. You could possibly push him up over 200k with support. You're just not going to be able to activate that damage reduction, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, the attack stats are looking really, really solid. So we're going to switch over here. We're going to kind of jump over to a Majin Buu saga style team, just to give us something a bit different. I think this is one of those categories where it's really good for Vegeta, because you can activate quite a lot in terms of his mechanisms. So you can activate the Kid Trunks portion, you can activate the Goku portion. You can get quite a few links of his active as well. So overall you get a pretty solid ability in activating every portion of his passive. Just again, not really the Bulma portion of the passive, but still really, really good. And we'll take a look at how he does here. He does obviously, you know, Goku, there is a really cool physical Goku that does give support to the Super Saiyan 2 / ally category. So really solid pairing to run with this Vegeta. They share 1 or 2 links, but nothing too major. He shares 4 links with this physical Vegeta, but no major key links, which is the only real kind of bummer. Once you link level them, you can get a little bit more key out of them, but it's not really that impressive. But then again, because you're aiming for his 12 key a lot of the times, it actually is, you know, really, really good. So yeah, something really quite cool and quite interesting from that perspective. In terms of defense, we're seeing pretty similar numbers to what we saw before. Nothing too different, which is good. It means there's not a lot of fluctuation. Good attack stat again, not too high, but you know, in this situation we aren't rocking the same level of support, but still, again, really, really good. So yeah, he's looking great. I think his EZA is definitely not of the same caliber as Strength Broly. I don't think anyone's EZAs are, you know, I think every EZA since that one's not been the same for the LRs. I think Broly's was very exceptionally good, which I always find interesting, but it was quite challenging and quite hard to do. But yeah, I think Vegeta's is really good. It does bring him up to speed. It does bring him into the current meta. He can, you know, go in some long form events. Yeah, he's not going to be a great, you know, defensive tank, but he'll bring some really good damage, especially with that high crit chance that can happen from having Gokus in the rotation. It just means that he's going to be able to bypass a lot of the damage reduction that these, you know, in-game events have, which I think is really, really good for him, and super solid. So that's great from that perspective. And then I think also, you know, if you look, yeah, I mean, 190,000 defense, 187,000, it's really good. It's a really, really solid, like, starting point for Vegeta. Yeah, he did have that super attack that kind of reduced his defense on the previous turn, so we do have to factor it in, but it's really, really solid from Vegeta. Very, very impressive stats here. And yeah, I just think he's been brought up to speed. You know, his AoE is really solid, which we'll test just now. We're going to be testing his AoE attack stat. 4.7 mil, again with, you know, relative ease. You just have to get his 12 key, and he's got that great chance of critting, because obviously my build, but he also has a good chance of critting from having a Goku on rotation. which is really great. I actually think, not this Vegeta, but I think if you pair him up with like Vegeta Goku exchange units, I think they also count, or at least they will when they exchange, which is quite interesting. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty cool how Vegeta's kind of functioning as a unit. And he can achieve this level on a lot of teams. You know, it's only really the Trunks and the Bulma restrictions, and even then they didn't make them inherent for him to be good. I think they just are bonuses if you build your team that way. So yeah, for me, really impressed by this EZA overall. I think it's really good that Vegeta's been brought into the meta. I think it is quite difficult with AoE units where to kind of gauge to stop them, because like Vegeta can completely invalidate a lot of SBR and ESBR content now. We'll be taking him through a lot of that kind of content, and you will see him, especially a Rainbow level 1, and Vegeta is a very old unit, so having a Rainbow version of him, I'm not going to say is common, but it's a lot more likely than not that people will at least have Vegeta with a dupe in him. You can see here we've got 208,000 defense, which is fantastic, and you're going to get Vegeta's 24 key here, so we're going to see his full AoE attack. And when you can have a 6 million AoE that has over a 20% chance to crit, it isn't really something you can, I don't want to say balance around, because obviously they have balanced around, but it is just like Vegeta is going to inundate a lot of content because he can do things like this. You know, completely crit out and just destroy the enemy team. And with 200k defense now, he's not going to be in the position where he's a defensive liability. For most events, he's going to be defensively sound, especially if you pop an item or not. So from that perspective, I think it's very difficult. It's very difficult to control AoE units in that sense. And I think with Broly, they obviously saw the effect that having a massive, you know, multiple AoE attack unit can do, and now adding Vegeta into the mix is kind of also just factoring those things in. And because Vegeta's now getting so much potential key from his passive because of the link rework giving an extra plus key to Royal Lineage, Vegeta is starting to look way more viable in getting that 18 key, but just also in his performance in general. So yeah, here you can see on this rotation, obviously not too much in the way of linking, still a decent amount. He's got 3 from Goku, he's got legendary powers, so he is still looking really solid. And yeah, we'll take a look at what his 12 key can do here. Again, he's got that crit chance, which is, you know, very important, very impressive, and will help him out quite a bit. That crit chance, again, is just something that basically guarantees he's going to do some good damage in later events, and you can activate it in a lot of ways. Floating Gokus, stagnant Gokus, really good attack stat again. We've got a huge chance to crit on this attack. It's just massive. Plus the stun chance. I mean, a 30% AoE stun chance, a 30% single target stun chance. You know, he does raise his attack, so the interesting thing is if he fires off his AoE attack and then he hits his single target as an additional, Vegeta's single target will actually be doing a lot more damage than his 18 key. Like, it'll be greatly buffed, so it's quite interesting to see as well. But yeah, overall it's a pretty interesting, yeah, kind of build for Vegeta. It's an interesting unit. I think he's really awesome offensively, and I think his defense has really been brought up to scuff. This is a rainbow unit, so for a non-rainbow unit you can knock the defense down quite a bit. We're looking at more 120, 130k defense rather than 187 or so k defense in a lot of those situations, which yes isn't in-game breaking, but is still a very solid point of defense. In terms of links, there's a lot of solid links you can find. Super Saiyan, Saiyan Warrior Race, those are going to be somewhat common links just amongst like Pure Saiyan and Saiyan units. You can also nab Legendary Power or Shattering the Limit or one of those links, and then you can kind of complete the cycle. Obviously Saiyan Pride and Royal Lineage, a lot more common amongst the Vegeta's family side of things. There's also the Cabas that have them, so that is something you can obviously look at. But for the most part, there's a lot of his links are more variable than others, so he's the kind of guy who will always share 2 or 3 links with quite a few units, but he won't share a lot of links with a lot of units. The units he links best with are the Prime Battle Vegeta that we utilized in the Vegeta's family portion of the video, and obviously the transforming Majin Vegeta is also very good. Remember, he can't link with Majin Vegetas, but with the transforming one he can, because the transforming one starts in the base form of Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, which is, you know, something that allows him to link up there, and they make a really potent combo actually. Good links. I think they share 5 links. They share a lot of key links. They share pretty much every major link. They're both on Majin Buu Saga. They're on every single team together, so you can always run those 2 as a combo, and they're kind of a good to go thing. As long as you get the Majin Buu Vegeta to transform, then you are basically sorted. So yeah, that's somewhat interesting, but beyond that, it's all pretty good. And then we obviously have some interesting units like the Super Saiyan 3 Trunks who you can link him with, which is obviously pretty cool. But yeah, there's a lot of options. It's just that a lot of the units are going to be sharing 2 or 3 links rather than 4 or 5, but I don't really find that to be an issue most times. Yeah, it is just what it is. Vegeta's a kind of unit where you don't want to get massive links, because you do want to have some semblance of key control to elect whether you're going for the 12 or 18 key. If you're always popping the 18 key, it's really cool, but you know, you are kind of losing out on the extra damage. That's it from me. Let me know what you think about Vegeta, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Until then, take care and bye.